Ken and Karen defend their home by waving guns at protesters. We've got a swastika pizza, and the Minneapolis City Council is an absolute pile of bullshit. We're counting down the top 5 bullshit moments of the week, so let's get going.
You're listening to the BS Podcast, where we cover all of the bullshit in the news and more. Now, welcome your hosts, Dave and Zach.
Hello and welcome to the BS Podcast, where we talk the absurd, the ridiculous, and yes, the bullshit. I'm your host, Dave, along with my co-host, Zach. Zach, how you doing, buddy?
Good, man. How you been?
I am thrilled. I am excited. You know why, Zach? Because we're trying something a little bit new. We talked about this a couple episodes ago, but it's real now. Although not super impressive visually, but I don't know if you can read this. We've got the BS-ometer. I can never tell if I'm going the right way or the wrong way here. So we've got our stories here, and what we're going to do is see, is it a BS-ometer or do you prefer BS-ometer? Because I kind of like
ometer or ometer.
Yeah.
I guess ometer.
Ometer is definitely correct. I kind of like ometer.
Well, you got to put it. Okay. Well, maybe we need to put another dash after the O, like BSO meter. Yeah.
So, well, I don't know. Well, I think we'll stick. I like the sound of ometer because it's more stupid, but I think ometer is better. So what we're going to do is, we've got 5 stories today that we've whittled down, and then we're going to choose that. Then we're going to rank them. So on a scale of 1 to 10, we've got the Ken and Karen story. We've got the swastika story, the swastika pizza story, as you heard in the intro. We've got the story about a New Jersey family that tragically died and how conspiracy theorists have taken advantage of this. It's really bizarre. Yeah. Then we've got Microsoft Edge potentially stealing your data. Microsoft is always up to shenanigans, so we'll look at that level of BS. And this story of the Minneapolis City Council that we'll get to. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through each story, and on a scale of 1 to 10, each story we're going to give it a pile of bullshit rating out of 1 to 10, and then we're going to score them at the end and then rank them. So we've whittled to 5, and now we're going to rank them.
Who's doing the adding up? Because I'm not that great at math. So
no, we're adding.
All right.
Highest score wins. Highest 1 to 10. 10's the biggest. 10 piles is the most BS.
All right, perfect.
We're trying here.
Yeah.
We're going to see how this goes. But this is going to be fun, I think. But I've been doing well. Did you have any hyper local BS you wanted to get off your chest?
I do not. It has been a BS-less week. That's what happens when I don't go anywhere or do anything, right? Last week I went down the beach and I had all that bullshit with the crab prices, and now it's like this weekend I was like, I'm not doing anything this weekend. Like, there's a brand new video game that came out I've been waiting to play for like 3 years. So I'm like, I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna play that like all weekend. And That's what I did. I did a little chores here and there, but other than that, no BS. It's been a complaint-free week for me.
Yeah, it's been pretty good for me as well. And I went to the beach over the weekend, and that was very nice. Saturday, and we're looking to maybe go because can you believe this, Zach?
Careful, don't get
July
COVID,
4th. I don't know. You're outside again. I'm over it. The beach, it's okay, guys. It's all right. I know we're seeing spiking cases and all this stuff, but I'm not worried. I'm really not. What about you? Oh, do you have any 4th of July plans?
Nope. I'm gonna. Well, okay, hold on. Something just originally the answer was just a flat no.
Yeah,
all right,
yeah.
We're gonna watch Hamilton on July 3rd. That's I think the biggest. That's gonna be our biggest thing this weekend because that's coming out. We're very excited to watch that.
Is that on Netflix?
Disney Plus.
Oh, Disney Plus. Oh,
yeah, we saw it when it toured through Baltimore with like the touring cast, but they're releasing on Disney Plus with the original Broadway cast. So we're gonna sit down and watch that on July 3rd.
So there you go. So
yeah.
you're gonna be.
Yeah. Yeah, we weren't going to do anything else, but a friend of mine just texted me and said he's thinking about having a 4th of July party at his house. So we'll probably go down there for that.
That's worse than the beach. That's way worse.
Why? Because it's
well, you're going to be inside. You're not going to wear a mask inside, right?
No, I'm not. I don't. They'll probably do the party outside. They have a lot of land.
Yeah.
And she's a nurse, so I don't think they'll invite that many people. They'll probably keep it at like 10 people or whatever,
Yeah. Someone's going to show up, and then someone's got to use the bathroom. Someone's got to clean the kitchen, and, someone's sneezing.
Yeah.
You're going to be a super spreader.
You know what? I did just think of some BS. People lighting fireworks off when it's not July 4th. How about that? Because, like, people have been lighting fireworks off every night at, like, 10 p.m. Like, guys, It's not 4th of July yet. Let's fucking pump the brakes just a second.
Yeah, I've got to say, I don't even like it on July 4th. I think I kind of like here in Florida, you can. I mean, I don't know what the laws are like in Maryland, but you can buy lots of different kinds here in Florida. And thankfully, I haven't heard any going off. But honestly, I kind of understand why they're restricted, because it's just annoying. I mean, if you're not going out to an event to see the fireworks, it's like midnight, 1 in the morning. I'm trying to get some sleep, and you hear this loud noise. You get the dog. Well, but my dog isn't too bad about barking. I don't know how yours is, but
my dog doesn't really care about fireworks. He'll bark if like he thinks someone's outside, like at the door or something. But he doesn't. That's a classic. Fireworks and thunder, he does not like. It does not faze him whatsoever.
Yeah, I think we're both blessed that way, because mine is. She'll hear it and she'll like kind of look, but won't.
Yeah, he doesn't get scared or get angry. He just kind of is like, what the fuck's that? And then like moves on. You know what I mean? Maryland firework laws. So we cannot buy anything that's not like ground fireworks. They got firework tents everywhere this time of year, and it's like, but it's only ground fireworks, right? They can't shoot up in the air.
Oh, I see.
But Pennsylvania is a very short drive from where I live, so it's legal there. So what most people in Maryland do is drive across the Pennsylvania border, and there's like a fireworks stand. I mean, like right across the border.
Yeah.
That's pretty much, they sell fire. That's got to be most of their business, Maryland residents.
Right. They're not checking your ID or anything, right?
They are. That's the thing. Like, yeah, I have gone there one time, and they actually check your ID and scan your ID before you get in the door, and they just say like, now you can't set these off in Maryland. You have to set these off in Pennsylvania.
Oh yeah, sure thing. Yeah.
Yeah, we're like, yes sir, or yes ma'am. It won't happen.
So not the case. Well, it's similar to us. You can have, but you can have things that shoot in the air actually. So. It does get a little crazy. I think
I don't mind it. So like, I don't mind it on 4th of July, because I think about when I was a kid and like I loved fireworks. I'm like, well, yeah, the kids enjoy it. It's fine. But like, they're like I live right next to a high school, and they spent like, I don't know how much it was. It had to have been like tens of thousands of dollars. I don't know what it costs to returf a field, but like they just returfed the high school football field. I mean, brand new over the summer. This was like a year or two ago, and some assholes went out there with fireworks on the 4th of July and just set off like a fucking smorgasbord of fireworks, and they completely like ruined the brand new turf the high school had just put in. So there was like some big things with like the PTA and the local HOAs. There was like a big conflict where it was like, we just paid to have this done, and now we got to lock off the field so it doesn't have public access. I mean, it was just a fucking mess,
Oh, unbelievable. That sucks.
Yeah.
So Zach, you were going to have a quiet weekend, just playing your video game, watching Hamilton, and now you may go out there because you're going to be safe at home, and now you're not going to be safe at home. You're going to be dangerous out in the wild, possibly.
Yeah.
So, well, I don't know. See, bad things happen when you leave your house. So
exactly.
Now, for my part, what's nice is that we're closed on Friday, so we get that bonus. And then I took the following Monday, just to tack on. But I'm not doing anything. I'm just kidding. We might go to the beach one day if we can. We're trying to think about the crowd though. We want to avoid that, so we may not even go. We may just sit at home and I don't know.
Sounds lovely. Yeah, the crowds are going to be. It's always the holiday weekends. It's you know what I mean. Even when there's not COVID, I don't think I ever go to the beach. On holiday weekends.
No, it's
like if like I said last week, my parents live down a beach town in Delaware, and when we go visit them, if it's like a long weekend, like Memorial Day or 4th of July or something like that, we never go to the beach those time of years to go visit them. We either just go out in the boat, or we can just like have the entire water to ourselves, you know what I mean? Or
instead of fighting over,
or sit in the house or something like that. We don't I don't think we ever go to the beach on holiday weekends.
Everything is just so strange now, but so it should be a quiet weekend for me. 4-day weekend, so we'll see what happens, but I will keep you updated if we do anything wild and crazy. All right, so you want to get into our stories, Zach?
Let's jump right in.
All right, so we've got this story here out of St. Louis. St. Louis defend their home with guns as protesters march down their street. This is a case of what people are calling Ken and Karen. And this is pretty, I think maybe it would be good to just start with the video, right? Just so people could see what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I love his pink polo. It's so hard for him to like look like a badass with his like pink polo tucked in. He's screaming.
His wife is a good, 3, 4, 6 inches taller than him?
I know. Maybe this whole thing maybe is just off the fact that maybe he's just a little guy, a short guy. And he's like
little guy with a big gun.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look at her. She's just.
Well,
what is she doing? She's like. Oh my God! Like it's I don't know what, but not a gun. This is what happened. And this was obviously all over the place, all over Twitter, social media, Facebook. Now this is incredible because there is a debate here over what should the claim is and backed up by a couple of places, although there is some disputes about this is in a gated community. That is true, and this is whether or not this is private property.
Yeah.
However, it's going up. It is, and now these people are not going to be charged. In fact, if there's at this point, it seems like if anyone's going to be charged, it's the protesters who are coming in for some level of trespassing and intimidation or something.
Yeah.
But getting a gun pointed at you, that wasn't a good example of gun safety, right? Would you say, Zach?
No, I don't think so. There's there's people, you see it all online that have a post of them holding their guns saying, "I dare someone to walk on my property." You know what I mean? There's people out there that are waiting for it, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if Ken and Karen in this situation are, they saw this happen and they're like, this is our excuse to go grab our guns and go stand out on our front lawn.
Yeah.
Obviously the protesters are already angry at the state of what's going on with their community. And you point a gun at their face, it's definitely going to make it worse. You know what I mean? It's definitely going to rile tensions up a little bit more.
Right.
I'm interested to see like when they jumped into action with their guns, right? Was like what I couldn't find about the article was something like thrown at their house or destroyed on their actual property, not the street or the community gate, but like their actual house. Right. Or did they just see the fence get broken down and said, "I'm going out with my gun"?
I think that's what happened. Now they're right next. If you see some pictures, maybe we could post a couple. There are some in this article here. We could see the fence broken, and there are signs on 2 gates showing it says private street, access limited to residents. This would be the same as any gated community, right? You can't just walk in. And if you do, and you don't live there, or have permission to be there by an owner, then you are trespassing. I think that's clear, right?
Yeah, it is clear. I think we talked a little bit before this about where like the laws of private versus public property.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like what makes a street private? Like if my neighborhood decided one day to be like, "Hey, let's build a fence in front of the street coming into our neighborhood," would that make it all of a sudden a private street?
And I would think if it was collectively owned, like in a homeowners association, I think they would have the ability to do that. Now, it doesn't mean nobody can come in ever that doesn't live there, but being uninvited, I think would cover that. And if you're told to leave, you would have to leave. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I guess my question is, but it means like actually like who owns the street, right? Because at some point it has to come down to like, nobody physically owns the street as far as that land of property where the street is built.
Well, it might belong to. Well, we have to get a lawyer on here for the PS pod.
You know what I mean?
But I think the street in your HOA is owned by your HOA. I don't think it belongs to a city or a county. I don't believe that's the case. I think it is. I think it is private property up all the way up the chain at some level. I think.
Yeah. Okay. If you are watching or listening and you're a property law lawyer or some shit, please educate Dave and me because we don't know what we're talking about with this special thing.
And I think once you can put a fence around it, then it does. Because I mean I don't know, like if there's a pothole, who fixes that? I would assume it would come down to the HOA, but I could be wrong. Yeah, property law experts or lawyers, please chime in. Now, according to the story, because you were asking about this, he did do an interview with, this comes from one of the local news stations, and he said, this is with 5 NBC, 5 on your side. So I'm assuming that's the local St. Louis affiliate there. And he says they basically said, what happens is we came back to the house. I don't know what time it was. I've been up ever since. I'm a little blurry. We were out there preparing dinner, and we basically saw what was going on. And he is, by the way, I think we jumped around, but their house is right where the gate is. They are the first house. Once you get inside the gate. So they saw the protesters, or the rabble rousing, I guess. And in fact, what the protesters were doing, apparently the mayor lives in this community.
Yeah.
So they were going to find the mayor, because apparently the mayor had said something about, it really ticked them off about maybe giving up, maybe listing addresses of people who were vocal about defunding the police. I believe that's right. So they were on their way to the mayor's house, but he happened to be first inside the gate. And he just basically says, they forced open the gate, and I told them that this is private property to go back. And then I went out and I got a rifle. I said, and he says that once he showed the rifle, they said that someone showed a firearm to him and said he was going to be shot. But if you watch the video, I don't hear any of that. But he said kind of a thing. So that's his story. He basically heard a commotion, people breaking into private property and saying, go away. And then when they didn't, he went in and got his AR-15, and then his wife Karen got her little pistol. Now, thankfully, we've seen cases where protesters, many of them do not behave themselves, and things turn ugly and violent. And I was surprised, in fact, that nobody tried to go that couple on by stepping on their lawn or something. Or maybe that's really what you need. See, that's the thing. Maybe what you need is someone to stand out there with a gun, like you saw some of these shop owners protecting their businesses during all the protesting and rioting. And from what I understand, chances are most of those people were protected. So maybe you don't go like this with a gun. That's what you don't do. But maybe you stand and make your presence known, being like, look, and then maybe you retreat to your house or something. You don't shout and yell and swing your gun around. I think that's dangerous.
No, yeah.
But so I don't know. I'm a little torn on this. By the way, I did find a story here. A story here from the St. Louis Dispatch. I thought I had something up here. I think this answers our question. St. Louis City Councilor Julian K. Bush affirmed that Portland, which is the name of the street, as well as several other streets in the West End, are indeed private. They are owned by the property owners, and the owners pay for them, the street repairs and maintenance. So that answers the question. The city has no right of way onto those streets. Bush said, now this is St. Louis City Council, so a city lawyer. Bush said homeowners are within their rights to exclude people from either driving their cars or walking through those areas. So in a sense, not only is the house belong to the couple, but the street is collectively owned and private. So he does actually own a piece of that street and that sidewalk, if you think of it that way.
Yeah.
So
okay.
So the castle, I guess, doesn't. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's not like you just shoot anybody on the street or anything like that. But then in this, I think that would explain why this couple is not going to seemingly face any kind of legal trouble, despite what I would consider irresponsible behavior. I think it's bullshit that you will go out there and wave a gun at people. It's also bullshit that people are breaking into private property and seemingly, because I'm mad at the mayor, I get to do what I want. That kind of mentality. I think there's bullshit all around here.
Absolutely. And I'm just surprised that it didn't escalate further than it did.
I know.
Right. And that's like a great, amazing thing that I honestly like. You got to give some kind of kudos to the people that were protesting, but with not having to that could have turned into, if someone in the crowd really did have a gun, as the other people said, that could have easily turned into like a little mini, battle.
Yeah. No, I agree. So thank God nothing came of this.
Yeah.
So I think I maybe hinted at this, and now we're kind of talking around it. So was this an effective deterrence? What if they stayed home and did nothing? Do you think that it was possible that their home could have been vandalized but it did seem like the protesters were behaving themselves and telling everyone to move along. So I do give them credit.
Yeah.
Or are we just lucky that the right group of people were here and nothing happened? What do you think? Was violence deterred by them going out there pointing their guns, or do they think they could have possibly made things worse?
I don't know. I mean, clearly they didn't make it worse because it didn't.
Nothing happened. Yeah.
nothing happened, but at the same time, we don't know if nothing would have happened, so I don't know.
Okay. Well, the big bullshit for me. Oh, before we give our scores here and talk about our piles of BS scores, this home has a little bit of history. I believe it was built by the son of Adolphus Busch, the beer guy, Anheuser-Busch. So
Yeah.
So this couple apparently bought this house. It was it was sort of dilapidated, and they renovated it. It is a beautiful home. So that bit of history there. So it belongs to the beer guy. So you want to protect that, right? So bullshit to me is the first way I came across this story, as what normally happens, is it looks like a crazy couple waving guns at peaceful protesters, right? That's the first impression. When you think, was that your first impression? Because that's what I first saw, like on Twitter and on social media.
Yeah, I agree with that.
There's always another layer to the story, right? Because your first is like, what the hell are these crazy people doing? And then you find out, you got to wait a day or two, and then you get a statement from the city lawyer and all this stuff. You're like, oh, okay, so they shouldn't have been there at all. They had no right to be there, and he was legally well within their rights to defend their house and their property. So that's a lot of BS for me. So I don't know if you're ready to go ahead and score this thing. I'm gonna give this thing 8 piles.
8 piles.
8 piles of BS. So I'm just gonna write the number 8 there. So
all right. I was gonna go. I was gonna go 7. 6.
Okay.
I was gonna go 6.
Okay. So 6 piles from Zach, 8 piles from me.
Yeah.
And then we'll total these all up at the end. All right. So let's move on to our. Well, actually, we should. I'm gonna just go ahead and give that a number 14, right? I can do that. I can do that math in my head.
Yeah.
It is right. All right. So story number 1 in the books. We've piled it. So let's move on to story number 2, Zach. I think this one. This one is a lot of bullshit here. This comes from actually I don't know what's this comes from Ohio. Sorry, Fox 8 story. Brook Park couple finds swastika of pepperoni on their Little Caesars pizza. This is thanks so much. There's a story here. This is kind of, all these stories are always funny the way they're written. So a couple gets home. They order their pizza from Little Caesars. By the way, do you remember the last time you had a Little Caesars? It's got like the worst pizza you can buy, isn't it?
Oh, I love Little Caesars.
Okay, so I'm wrong.
Oh man, cheap, good and cheap, like Ollie's. You guys don't have Ollie's down near you? There's another store up near us called Ollie's, good and cheap. That's like Little Caesars.
All right, so I apologize, Little Caesars fans and Zach. The husband says, she turned to me and said, babe, did you order this? Did they make it for you? And I turned around, I looked at it, and I could see the shock on her face as my jaw dropped. He had ordered a pepperoni pizza. When he got home and opened the box, he found the pepperoni pizza in the shape of a swastika. So they didn't, they're like, no, I did not order a swastika pizza, honey.
The funniest part is that in that article, it says the husband said, when I first looked at it, I thought that pizza's not cut.
Why is that your first reaction?
Yeah, he noticed his first reaction was that the pizza wasn't cut.
And then so he reached out, and I guess the store was closed or something like that. Apparently, they said it's supposed to be an internal joke that employees were playing.
Yeah,
and, the pizza was never. This is a story. They told him that it was supposed to be an internal joke. They were playing at each other and another employee. The pizza was never intended to get out. He also confirmed that the employees were let go. Now, but why would that be part of your explanation? There was just a prank or something?
Yeah.
And
it shouldn't have been an acceptable prank anyway. That'd be like if someone worked at, I don't know, a box store. That would be the same if like someone at Amazon put a noose in a box. You know what I mean? As a prank, as an internal prank, and then Amazon accidentally sent the package to somebody.
Right, and then their answer is, "Well, there's just a joke."
It's just a joke, I mean, it shouldn't be even been a joke in the first place. And why that's a dumb joke anyway. Now you're just wasting ingredients and you're wasting your store's money because you obviously can't. They did send it to somebody, but you obviously couldn't have.
Yeah. Now, do you think is it possible, Zach, that this was not intended to be hateful or anything, but it was actually the ancient Buddhist symbol? Maybe is that possible?
No, I don't think so.
No, definitely not. Some asshole teenager.
Someone's gonna give that excuse and say that's what it was. There's no way in hell. Then it wouldn't have been a joke. It would have been like, oh, this was like a gift, because they're Buddhist or I don't know what that symbol is from, but
it probably means something like peace and love or something, right?
yeah, whatever that someone's like, it's the ancient meaning of it, whatever religion that is,
Right.
But no, that's not the case. It cannot be the case. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been a joke. It shouldn't have been. It wasn't a joke, regardless. But still,
no. I mean,
it's almost like there's this. It's almost like the thing where it's like if it's anti-Semitic, it's like it's okay. You know what I mean? Like, oh, it's bad, but it's not as bad. Where it's like it's still pretty fucking bad. You know what I mean? Like it's still terrible, and it shouldn't have been a joke in the first place.
No, and this is ridiculous. And I would think I'd almost say just throw up the picture here, but I don't want to because it's bad. This is not a joke.
Yeah.
So, but it doesn't seem like. Well, I guess if there is a silver lining here, is it didn't appear to be targeted to the couple in any shape or form. So I don't think it was like, in other words, a group that I hate, or that it was specific to the customers. Is that something? So it was just a stupid thing that happened, and at least it wasn't like a hate crime kind of a thing. It's a hate symbol, but I don't know. Am I floundering here? I don't know.
No, I get what you're saying. So yeah, it wasn't specific to any person, but it was just
very stupid, total bullshit. Oh, and by the way, as apparently it was I never noticed this, but I guess it was backwards, so they even got it the wrong way or something. So just moron, idiots, losers all the way around. That's all I have on this one. Do you have any more on this before we score this thing?
That's it for these idiots.
Okay, all right, I'm gonna have you go first on this one. We'll alternate. How many piles of BS you want to give this one?
You know what? I'm gonna go straight to 10 on that one.
Going 10? Okay.
Yeah.
So 10. I'm gonna just make it a little interesting. I'm gonna go 9.
All right.
So we'll go 19. So that one's in the lead. So Ken and Karen already got an uphill battle now. So.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so let's move on. We spent a lot of time on Ken and Karen.
We did.
We just go straight to the pizza. All right. So it's definitely the front runner. All right, so let's get to story number 3. Now this one is this one may take the cake. There's multiple layers of BS on this one. And at first you're like, well, what is this? And when you and I we're preparing for the episode. We're like, what the heck is this? Let's start with a story from KTLA 5. I don't know, from 3 members of a New Jersey family, including an 8-year-old girl, drowned in swimming pool 20 days after moving in, officials say. And this is just really, really bizarre. It says an 8-year-old girl, her mother and grandfather found dead in the pool of a New Jersey home, died as a result of accidental drowning, the medical examiner's office found. So we got 62-year-old, 33-year-old, and 8-year-old. But it's like there's really no answer here, and I did find a follow-up story that they said there was no evidence of electricity involved in this, so nobody knows how these people died. There was a report from neighbors who said they heard screaming. So what do you have any? Do you venture to guess what in the world made
it had to have been a fucking ghost. I mean, something. Ghosts scared them, and they all fell in the pool and died with fell unconscious with fear at the same time. It's fishy,
How did 3 people die? How did 3 people drown at once in a pool of all different ages? I just don't get it. And it didn't seem like there's nothing here in the story that says it was like they were maybe trapped under a tarp or anything like that. You had one theory you suggested to me earlier. Do you remember?
Yeah, I was like thinking like maybe the entire family doesn't know how to swim, and like the little girl fell in, and the mother was like, "Oh, I've got to jump in and save her," and then she jumped in and saved her. And was like, "Shit, I can't swim either." And then the grandfather was like, "Oh, I got to save all of them, but I can't." And then he jumps in. He's like, "Well, I can't swim either." And then they.
It's really stupid.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, because the only reason I say that was because, like, I think as a parent, there's probably some kind of like instinct where you just jump in to try to save your children. You don't like, you don't like think like, oh fuck, I can't swim. What should I do?
Yeah.
It's just like this snap decision.
But would you buy a house with a pool if nobody in your house could swim?
No, unless you're buying it for guests and you're like, this is like, you got a lot of money and you're like, you know what, this is a badass pool and other people will enjoy it. But
Well, what are the chances that, I mean, I don't know the percent of, say, people in the United States that don't know how to swim. I would imagine it's not very big. And what are the chances that all three in a family can't swim? Is that it would seem to be unlikely, right? But
yeah, I mean, unless it's just one of those things where the grandfather never learned, so he never taught his kids. You know what I mean? It just keeps going at that point.
oh my God. Down the line, and then another family member shows up, and then everyone just keeps jumping in the pool and dying.
Yeah. Although, like, I don't know. Every school system is different, but I know when I was in elementary school, they forced us to learn how to swim. Like, we had to go to drown proofing classes at the aquarium.
That's what I'm saying. And
the aquarium. I'm sorry, at the local pool.
You swim with the sharks.
Yeah.
But like, how hard? It's pretty hard to drown in a pool. I mean, mostly you could put your feet down, right? If you're I mean, not if you're a kid, it's hard, but I could see.
I guess it depends how deep it is. I mean,
they only have one, just a deep end. I guess maybe they all ended up in the deep end. It's very bizarre. Now, what do you think of the screaming, though? You think that was real, or you think that was a magic?
That's what I think the ghost came from.
Oh, okay. So they got scared and all fell
the
into
ghost.
the pool and drowned.
Yeah. The ghost scared them, and that was that.
Now, so here we go. So that's the first layer, confusion, or leading people to think that there's foul play involved in here, right?
Definitely, yeah. It was definitely fishy. There's something fishy going on there.
So, internet investigators, internet sleuths, they did the job that police couldn't do, putting two and two together.
Yeah.
No, not really. There's this posting on this is such bullshit. So because the manner of deaths for all three people is so bizarre, and God only, and maybe so far, I think your theory seems to be the most plausible, although it sounds very stupid.
Of the ghosts,
ghosts or not drowning, but those are in the lead. Now, so this is an Indian family. I don't want to mention the names, but one of them shares. The 33-year-old woman shares the same name of a woman who worked for the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and in fact, the father, her father, and then the grandfather of the 8-year-old girl shares the name of someone, an Indian American who works for the Clinton Foundation. So what happened, Zach? Obviously, this family was murdered by both Bill and Melinda Gates and the Clintons. So that's the theory going around.
So we're getting like an Epstein situation now.
Yes.
All right.
Now, but in fact, no. The story here from leadstories.com. They actually reached out to the person who shares that name, and who works for the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. You go, no, I'm here. I'm alive. I'm here in Washington, D.C. I didn't die in New Jersey in a pool. And you just search around this story. Usually we link to the thing. They have all the names here. To me, this is disgusting. I don't want to mention it. And you can figure this out yourself. I mean, you could look at the family actually has a GoFundMe. They've raised $52,000 so far. And if you look at the pictures of the deceased, and then if you look at the picture of you can look these people up to find out they have their public profiles here, the ones who've worked for the Bill and Melinda Gates and Clinton foundations. They're just not the same people, guys. Yeah. I mean, come on. This is such bullshit, man. This poor family had this tragedy happen, and it is suspicious, but God, they weren't, connecting it to this conspiracy theory nonsense. And this stuff is all over the internet. It's all over the place. Tons of websites with strange sounding names that act like news. I mean, like actual, I guess you call them literal fake news kind of thing.
Yeah. It's in a literal sense. That's what it is. It's like those tabloid magazines you would see at the grocery store growing up. I haven't seen one in a long time, but
unbelievable. Yeah. And here's the email from, please let your readers from the world know that as of June 26th, I am alive and well. There are multiple people named, I'm not going to say it, in the United States. I am just one of them, which is why I often use my middle initial. Many of the inquiries I've gotten across social media are bizarre and disturbing. Based on media reports, a person who shared with me my same first and last names appeared to have died tragically in New Jersey. I don't know the family. My heart goes out to them. So this is like John Smith dies, and then because John Smith, worked for someone famous and powerful, obviously the famous and powerful people murdered John Smith, but it's just the wrong John Smith.
Yeah. Wrong people.
And this goes to something, Zach, the BS level here, is it becomes really, how many people maybe were taken by this? There's, people out there on Facebook that come across this stuff. They don't go and, try to fact check this stuff. They just, ingest it. And, people of all sides believe stupid stuff. And this is just more stupid, it's like less of a chance to, how do we believe anything in the world when this stuff is flying around?
Yeah, I don't know. The people just, everyone just wants to read headlines and move on. Everything's so quick. No one, that's just the way we take in information now. We take in information as quick as possible,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I saw it. Yeah. Just like who reads more than the headline of any story?
Yeah, exactly. So I think the responsibility was on the people that broke. As a journalist, I think you need to go beyond the headline and like really dig in and think about what you're writing. But
unbelievable. So were you we've touched on conspiracy stuff a little bit. Aliens, I don't know if we've talked JFK or the moon landing or not. I don't know, where do you land on where do you land on just conspiracies in general? When you see stuff like this, like I am an Epstein conspiracist, so I will admit to that. I think I mentioned it on this show. I think it was a blackmail pedophile ring, so that they could trap powerful people and blackmail them and do stuff they wanted. I do believe that, so I guess that makes me a conspiracy theorist. But I'm not talking this crap.
I don't think that makes you a conspiracy theorist. I think that means you have a brain and you have common sense.
So. Where do you land when you see stuff like this? Where do you how do you wage, so you wouldn't call that a conspiracy theory? How do you know, when does it become a conspiracy theory?
I don't know. When it comes to things that are blatantly obvious, like people that refuse to think the Holocaust never happened.
Right.
You know what I mean? It obviously did, friend. Or, people that say Sandy Hook never happened. It obviously did.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like that. I think that's when you go to the point where it's like, you're crazy.
Things that are obvious.
Earth is flat. Like, come on, guys. Birds aren't real. Come on now. Like that's getting to a point where it's going too far.
That's all this stuff is very stupid and obvious and strange. And yeah, when I never even heard of the bird one when you talked about it on here. So is it just people that are just trying that think they know how the world really works or something like that, and to show how smart they are, kind of a deal? Like, what motivates this sort of?
I have no fucking clue what motivates these people to do what they do. They're just crazy. I think that's all it is.
I think that's it. Yeah. Why bother? We don't need to dig too deep on these idiots and these bullshit artists. Now, geez, this is tough for me because I kind of. Well, I'm gonna keep things interesting. I'll go. So we're going every other. I'm just gonna call this. I'm gonna give this a 7. I'm gonna make these interesting. What do you got?
Let's give it 5.
Okay. Wow. All right. So we got 7 and 5, and then we'll add that up. All right. So now we're so in the lead is still Swastika Pizza, Ken and Karen number 2, and then New Jersey Family BS number 3. All right. Let's roll here with our fourth story, Zach. Microsoft Edge imports your data from Chrome and Facebook before you give permission. Now, you're a Mac user, right?
I am.
Now, what about this story? So you're sort of on the outside looking in on this. What about this story caught your eye?
Just because, like, for me, I'm all about companies doing things to try to make it a better user experience for you, right? So I kind of look at this through the lens of like how Microsoft is looking at it, right? They're saying like, let's try to make a browser, because has Microsoft ever made a good internet browser?
I don't think so.
No. So in their eyes, they're like just trying to like figure out how to make a good internet experience for people that they want to use. And I think people are abusing the term of like privacy invasion right?
Yeah.
From what I've read, all this did was like take data from other browsers, so that way you don't have to like do it yourself. So I'm assuming like bookmarks and things like that, right?
Yeah.
It
So
just
like when you go ahead.
yeah, it's just like just look at what you've done on other browsers so that they can make a better user experience for what you do in your browser
So
in Microsoft Edge, right? So I'm like,
yeah.
I just what caught my eyes like the people making a huge fuss about it, like people are invading my privacy, yada yada yada. But like, I just don't see the big deal.
Yeah, so in this, so when you change, yeah, so if you install a new browser, and I've tried out many different ones. So you have a Mac, so you only use Safari.
No, I use Chrome.
Okay, so you use Chrome. Okay, so when you installed Chrome, Chrome asked you if you'd like to import your bookmarks and browsing history from Safari or something like that, right?
Yep. And if I
So
want to
that's
make it
basically what
default,
this did.
yeah.
That I guess one of the things that people are alleging that it sort of did it before without asking you, I guess, as you were installing.
Okay.
Now, I don't know. I guess it's if you want to just do a clean install of a browser and then not carry over your settings, I guess you would do that. But I will say this. Microsoft really, really wants you to use the Edge browser because I got the same thing. I've got Windows 10 on my machine that I'm talking to you from, and I got this pop-up from saying Edge browser is now live, get started or something like that. And I don't want to use the Edge browser. I don't. I'm just not interested. I got my Firefox, and that's what I like to run. And it was kind of annoying to get rid of it. And it popped up. I think it popped up twice, and I finally got rid of it. And then it like pinned itself on my taskbar on the bottom here, so I had to unpin it. And then I deleted the shortcut icon, which I think it actually came back again. So I think that's BS for me. The extent that look, I'm using your operating system. Stop pushing your software on me.
Yeah. And if I was a Microsoft user, I think that's where the bullshit would lie. Like, you haven't made a good internet browser ever. So just stop trying and stop trying to force it on people. The issue isn't privacy invasion. This doesn't have to go into like an NSA type of like people are spying on me situation. Like, no, it's not. When it comes to that, people are making a big deal for nothing. It's like, they're just trying to make a good browser, even though that's not, they're just trying their best.
Yeah. And I hate to even say this because it almost sounds like I'm admitting defeat, but in terms of privacy, this is probably small potatoes for considering how our privacy has been abused in other ways on a daily basis. I mean, this is something we talked about on the phone, how everything is being, how you're being tracked, and there was this controversy or questioning of whether or not our Android and Apple phones were installing COVID-19 tracking on our phone. And we actually did a video on that. If you scroll down below on a channel, because in the long and short of it is the answer is no, they didn't. But if you start looking, there's a lot of other things that are actually tracking you on your phone. I mean, you could essentially to own a smartphone means to be tracked.
Yeah. In a sense, I mean, everything's got GPS on it now, right?
Yeah, I mean, you could turn all that stuff off, and at which point it makes every app you have essentially unusable. So
you basically at that point got a iPod Touch at that point, But even using the phone, right? I could see like someone saying like getting a ping from like a cell phone tower could be an invasion of privacy. You know what I mean? Like
triangulation or whatever it's called.
Yeah,
right? Yeah. So. Even if you turn off all your GPS tracking, there's data. Yeah, and believe me, when you log into your Gmail or whatever, or if you don't use whoever you use, they're taking your location. They know what you're doing. I mean, I don't know anybody's looking at it, but they're using it in like a macro sense, I think. But yeah, I don't know. We have no privacy anymore, and I guess this is just a little bit of small potatoes. And I'm assuming whatever little thing they have going on here will be there'll be a fix for it, and then it'll be done. It'll be over with. But for me, the BS for me is the fact that Windows keeps pushing this stupid browser. That's
the real BS. Yeah. I wonder if they make Microsoft Edge for Mac.
Well, you should try. Would they even bother trying to make a Mac version? I don't think so. I don't think that makes any sense.
I think you can get Macs with Windows operating system on it, which doesn't make any sense. But
have you ever used one of those?
No.
Stupid.
But I remember a long time ago when I bought my first Mac back in 10 or 12 years ago. And it was like operating system. Do you want Windows or Mac OS? I'm like, why would I get Windows operating system. So.
Just buy a Windows machine.
Yeah.
Bizarre. All right, so if you're ready, I'm ready to score this puppy. This one's up to you now. You're up next.
I'm giving it a 3.
3, yeah.
3 little small piles in this one.
Yeah, this is the 3. So 3 piles for you. I'm gonna go even wilder. I'm gonna give it 2 piles.
All right.
So that one, I think we know where that one's ending up. So 3 for you, 5 for me. I'm sorry, 5 total. 3 for you, 2 for me. So that is 5 piles of BS for the Windows Edge. All right, let's hit our last story, Zach.
Let's do it.
I don't want to say we've saved the best for last, but certainly a contender. I think for last. Minneapolis is a story from InformedAmerican.com. Minneapolis City Council members calling for end of police enjoy private security at a cost of $4,500 a day. Isn't this glorious, Zach? The City Council votes unanimously. I believe it was a 12-0 vote. And I talked about this to our Facebook group, to dismantle the police department, to build something new, a community trust and safety department, or whatever the freaking hell they're calling it. But on the off chance that we get rid of all the cops, we still need protection, so we're going to need to hire private security. What utter bullshit is this?
It's bullshit. It's really big bullshit. So the way that we talked about it was like, all right, it's still taxpayer funded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
which is what the police force is, taxpayer-funded police force. So essentially, they're stripping away your taxpayer dollars. The police are supposed to work for the people. They're supposed to. They, you can argue that they don't, but they're supposed to. So your taxpayer dollars are going from an organization that supposed to protect you, to an organization that protects just the government. Right?
That's not how that's supposed to work. It's the community, right? Which means public, private, everybody, and you get rid of it, and you immediately spot a hole in this problem. They could have just been using cops for protection. And here we are. So far the bill has rung up. Now this is already out of date, but it was 63,000. So now we're probably up to 70,000, and this will continue running. They'll keep running the bill up to hire private security, and this is in my concern is that as places. Cities around the country start voting for this stuff, and I think it might be Chicago is maybe next. I saw New York City, they want to cut funding to the NYPD by like 20-25%, something like that.
Yeah, Austin just defunded like by 25%, right?
Yeah. I mean, Zach, let's just think about this, and I think not to be too obvious here, but what do you suppose will happen to maybe crime rates if we get rid of, say, 25-30% of officers on duty? Would you care to venture a guess of what might happen here? Might be a consequence. Yeah,
well, some people are saying that it'll make crime go up, right? So that's what some people are saying. I mean, maybe it'll work. I don't know how, but maybe in some way it'll make them allocate the funds that they do have to things that matter. You know what I mean? Like maybe it'll make them be stricter about their budget.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't always mean, exactly. Just because a budget doesn't necessarily equal safety. I think that is a good point. Now it is also true that if you catch less criminals, then crime will be down, right? Or at least maybe not reported crime, but maybe arrests will be down. I don't know. Maybe that's the point. Less arrests. I don't know, but but anyway, what I was saying was that I think the consequence to this is if we get rid of cops or we get rid of many cops, there will be people like the city council, and then that's of course public employees, but regular people who have money, rich people are going to be thinking, God, like people like Ken and Karen are going to say, they defended their property, but they're going to hire their own. So I'll say that neighborhood, you may see them hire their own private security.
Ken and Karen will have their own private security militia.
Yep.
That whole neighborhood will, and
that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. And then the people in poor neighborhoods who can't afford the protection, they'll have to start their own or something from community-led members. And it'll be the same, but there are things like systemic racism that have kept communities segregated, right? And kept ideas in these communities, separated. So what's going to happen is you're going to have community-led organizations pop up in each of these communities. And I think some of the arguments I've heard is like, well, that's fine because our police force is looking out for us. You know, I mean, that's what the argument is. I was like, okay, but what happens when people in these communities start intertwining? Right. I've said this before with this argument, like what happened with George Zimmerman and Trayvon Martin, like when that kid went into that neighborhood, you know, it's like that. Is this what's going to happen on like a grander scale?
So we'll have like warlords, like what these 5 blocks are controlled by this arm, like almost like CHOP or something, you know, by this armed security, and then this other 6 block thing is controlled by this group. And yeah, what happens when they cross paths? This is insanity, Zach. This is not. Yeah. And you know who never loses is the rich, because you'll see more gated communities, more private security for them, their safety. When they go outside to buy groceries or whatever, they'll have a detail, and they're gonna come back. Are we turning into like the third world here or something, like Brazil?
It's gonna be like Mad Max, like Fury Road. It's gonna be it's gonna be like the country.
Oh, goodness gracious. This is such bullcrap to me. I don't know if I'm ready. I'm already going to give mine. I think it's my turn. Oh, crap. It's my turn. I'm giving this thing 10. This is my first 10.
I'm going 9.
You're going 9. Now, I don't think we talked what we do in the event of a tie, because we have a tie here.
We have a tie?
We've got a tie. You're horrible at this. So we got a tie
Swastika
between Minneapolis City Council and Swastika Pizza.
Are we going to have to flip a coin? I can't find a coin.
I don't know if
Shit.
What's a coin? I do everything by PayPal.
Yeah. I'll flip a debit card. Here, I've got this little thing that's got like a head and then nothing on the back.
Okay.
Right?
I like that guy. Yeah. So
right. Yeah. I can flip that.
So, all right. So we want to call Swastika Pizza head and mini City Council tails.
All right. Let's do it. Ready?
Well, does that even though? All right. You're good. Go ahead.
Hold on. I dropped it. Let me flip it again. I want to be fair here. All right.
So Swastika Pizza.
Swastika Pizza.
That's our number 1. So all right, so let's count down. Let's count down our top 5. We're counting down our top 5 bullshit over the last week. We've got, starting at number 5, Microsoft Edge. Are they stealing your data? And then we've got the New Jersey family. Were they actually murdered by the Clinton Foundation and Bill and Melinda Gates? No, it's just the same name. That's all it was. Although we don't know how they died. Zach has 2 very plausible theories that also make no sense. And then number 3. This is surprising. Ken and Karen. Number 3. The St. Louis family, who's soon to be hiring private security because there won't be any police. And then number 2, Minneapolis City Council votes to disband the police and them hiring their own private security. Beautiful. And then number 1, the bullshittiest story of the week was Swastika Pizza from Little Caesars.
That is one big pile of shit.
Yeah, that's just so stupid. It's such fucking bullshit. What are they thinking? They're gonna get away with it? Hey, I got a great idea. Let's do Swastika Pizzas. They'll never catch it.
Yeah. Could you imagine being like, hey, man, did you get that pizza I sent you? And be like, it was just a sausage with pep. And they're like, wait, what happened to the one I was supposed to give you? And then like all of them shit in their pants when they realize what happened.
Oh, insane. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this new little tweak to the format as we're counting things down. We've got the BS-ometer, BS-ometer. We're still debating. Now, actually, now I'm thinking it's not really a meter, but we're getting there. It's a BS board or something. I don't know. Yeah. It's a work in progress. Zach, are you good at making things? Do you think you can make some kind of a meter?
Like, no, I'm not an engineer, so.
We'll have to brainstorm something. Maybe we can get maybe like a color-coded thing. But we're taking steps now to get to something. So that is all we have for today. Love it if you enjoyed this content to subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and Zach. Not only they can get the BS Pod here. We've got Get Informed America. We've got a lot of stuff coming out on this channel, and people can find us at our 2 main websites, can't they?
Yes, they can. InformedAmerican.com and RealHealthyNews.com.
Excellent. Well, I hope you all have a great 4th of July holiday. For Zach, I'm Dave, and I've had enough of this BS. Had enough!
You've been listening to the BS Podcast with Dave and Zach, part of the Informed American Radio Network. Please like and subscribe today in order to get fresh new weekly episodes. Please send us your BS stories to info@informedamerican.com. The world is hard enough, and now we gotta deal with this bullshit.